Why, hello everybody, it's Peggy and I'm back again with another video. Today I'm just messing around. I'm not doing a whole lot of anything today. I did some stuff a couple days ago and I just am in the mood to work on it some more, so that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So, these are 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you guys might remember this. A few days ago, I was processing some scrap and I ended up with, I was just going over, I did it on live stream. And yeah, was I on live? Yeah, I was on a live stream. Did it on a live stream. So I was just making half square triangles, and we were playing around with different ways to make half square triangles. So let me see if I can get my sample piece out. So there's my sample piece. We did this one up on the live to show how it's done and just get a basic thing. And don't forget, I'm still learning too. If you see an egregious mistake that I'm making, by all means, please swing back into the comments at the end below, look below, and let me know if I've done something wrong or if you know a better way to do it. I did this one here using a tube strip method, and obviously, look at this. Look, I'm going to get this in the center. I obviously either was in a hurry, I was probably in a hurry, or I did something wrong because that is not even close to being a square, and I know using the tube strip method is, tube strip? I know that method is really, really easy. So I'm just coming through here, flipping that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and put the straight line. See how there's a straight line that goes all the way through here? I'm just going to make sure that that corner comes in and goes off on that straight line. You can also line it up with whatever lines happen to be on your ruler. I'm just getting right to it. I'm not trying too hard today. And I'm going to try and make this a 2" by 2" square. And this is a cute little toy. It's awesome. Okay, take that off, because this particular thing turns. Because when you're cutting these, you have to cut one side, then the other. This way, I just flip it around. You know what else I have to do though? These work best because this works best when you're doing small pieces. That was just me moving it there. Now I've got a more obvious triangle, right? What I had done last time, I was just chit-chatting and doing the thing, and I was like lining it up and saying, hey, well, if that's an extra piece. Hey, if I do this and this and this, and I can turn it into a pinwheel. Nope, that goes. How does pinwheel go again? Why am I having such a problem with the pinwheel? There we go. I can turn it into a pinwheel. I've got all different sizes. Some of them were more successful at squaring off than others. So today I'm just cleaning some of that up, and I'm going to do a pinwheel. And then I'm going to see what I've got left. Let me get the camera so you guys can actually see. I'm going to do a pinwheel. So I'm going to grab 4 of these that are close in size. Basically, what I was doing is I had all of this fabric left over. And when you have all this fabric left over, if you just get it ready to go, what am I doing now? If you get it all ready to go in advance, then you can just take it out. I really didn't put this away properly because I knew I was probably going to come back and make something out of it. But I've got smaller ones here. I've got more smaller ones here. Lots of small ones. I've got bigger ones here. So everything that's kind of sort of in the same size range is all going to go into the same bucket. Got some more small ones here. And then when I'm ready to go, I can just lay these out. But I've got this really cool toy today. You know what else I got to do? Today we are going to change a rotary blade. Rotary blades are a pain in the ass because they are razor sharp. I started to say it and then I got distracted with what I was talking about. It's been a while since I've done a pre-record. That's okay. I can edit these when I'm live. Any stupid thing. Okay, so basically I want this one here is just a little 28 millimeter. It's an Olfa. And that comes down as the protector. That goes up. And when you flip on the back, that's how it's held in place. So let me just see if I can get in closer. Yep. Okay, so to get the blade off, I've already just dumped this out of its little plastic case. So to get this off, let me get it back. Let me figure out where the camera is. Oh my God, I am not having the best of days with that. Okay, so just pull it back towards you, have your hand, have it pointed down, it'll just pop out. It pops out with that piece, with the front. Okay, so it pops out with the front attached. So when you're popping it out, you just pop it out, put it back. To put it back, you just put this can be back or forward, that doesn't matter. Just put it right over top of the screw and snap it forward, and it's back on. So what we're going to do to change the thing, we're going to go like that. Now this, if you're only using, if you are only buying your blades one at a time, and there are some brands of blades that some sizes. For my big one here, for this guy, you can only buy them in a one. I think I may have a 3-pack. Let me just double check. I have to change that blade too. I have to change this blade too because I nicked this blade. This blade I nicked, so I do have to change that one. Okay. So this is an impromptu blade changing lecture. So keep everything exactly. That's your used blade. I like to bring it back to an edge. I like to bring it all the way to the edge so that I can pick it up like that. These are still sharp enough to cut you even when they're quote quote dull. And then for me, I'm just going to talk while I walk because I have a microphone on so you guys can come with me. For me, we have Mr. Diabetic Dog who needs insulin twice a day, which means that we have a sharps container in the house. So I just drop it in the sharps container. I do prefer, even if I don't have a sharps container handy and I'm changing a blade, I prefer to put it inside of I don't just put it directly into the garbage. That's just my, whatever you would normally do to dispose of a razor blade, especially if you're old enough to remember single blade razors. So I'm bringing this all the way to the edge again, carefully. If you have to touch the edge, touch it feather light. I'm literally bringing it all the way to the edge again before I pick it up. These can be a little bit wiggly to put on. Just make sure you're not touching it. Anyway, I'm being overly obvious in what I'm doing just because I'm not sure what the camera is and isn't picking up. This is a good chance. It's a good opportunity while your stuff is open. Pick out any dust or crud from your rotary cutter. There we go. A little bit of dust, a little bit of crud. That's normal. It's not anything bad. And then you just do exactly what I was just doing with the old blade. Go back on top, push forward, and now I have a brand new blade in here. And that's done. Obviously, leave the safety on to get these back in their container. Why, if you happen to have a pair of tweezers handy, I'm practically paranoid about making sure I don't touch this stuff. And something else that you want to do too. Basically, these have a little bit of oil on them. They've put a little bit of oil on them so they stick together, which is why they're a pain in the ass. Take your time. Use your tweezers. Do whatever makes you comfortable to avoid really overhandling the blade, because like I said, you would do the same thing with a razor blade. And I forgot I had these until just now, so we're going to do this one too. This one here is, I got tons of these blades. This one here is a little different. This is also an Olfa. It is a 60 millimeter blade. Yeah, sorry for the drop. That I just realized I literally just decided I'm going to come on the camera and see what happens. It's going to be interesting. Blah 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 blah. I'm not trying too hard today either because I'm not entirely sure if my memory card has a problem or not. So if my memory card is a mess, so this is fairly simple. Most of these do have some sort of a lock, and once the lock is in, see, it's literally unlocks it. Locks it. And obviously you can trigger it by accident if you're not paying attention, so do pay attention. One finger on this side, you don't have to have a finger, well, you do have to have one finger on that side. Go on to the back side, take that off. There is a small washer, and it is bent on purpose. It is supposed to be, so you're fine with that. Now you just do exactly what you did before. This is now still attached to that. Take it from the front. Sometimes these also have a little bit of oil on them. So sometimes they can feel like they're a little sticky. So that's why I'm like this. Don't just grab and start moving, because because sometimes that acts like a suction cup. Sometimes it acts like a suction cup. So don't just do this, because you don't want your hand to slip and you don't want to touch the blade. This blade is actually a really, really sharp blade, but I nicked it. I was just being, I don't know what I was being. And again, you guys get to listen to me talk. Yeah, you can kind of see it. See that little clear spot there? That's where there was a bit of oil. This one's a little tiny bit different because it's bigger. Just come with me back to my sharps container. If I'm going to have a diabetic dog, I'm going to have at least one advantage in life over it. Oh, that one doesn't want to go in there. I'll have to put that in a jar. Do I have a jar? Yes, I do. There's a jar. Okay, there we go. Drop it in a jar and then drop it in the garbage. Okay. Now, this one's not too bad, but where's my tweezers? Okay, this one's not too bad, but we have a similar. Remember I said these ones had a little bit of oil on it. These ones have a lot of oil on them. As a matter of fact, it's even in the. I don't know if you can see that little yellowish. That is the excess oil. That is not anything to panic about. That is so that if you ever get a tiny bit of moisture in these blades while they're in the packaging, and it can happen, like, you know, maybe you're living in a super. Now, I just picked up 2 blades together. So just carefully separate them. Now, these are a little different to deal with. These are a little bit different. I'm going to set that there for now, but I'm leaving it at an angle. Like I said, don't be paranoid, but be carefully. The one side is flat. The one side is completely flat. The one side has a little bump. You got to center everything on the bump. Don't take off the oil just yet. These get expensive, and if anything these get expensive, and if anything gets wet, they could get wrecked. Okay, what do I have in my handy dandy trash bin here? Okay, so pick it up by that. See, that's one sticking a bit. I'm just dropping it down a little bit because I'm just gonna carefully. I'm not going crazy to get every last drop of this stuff off. It's not the end of the world if a little bit of the oil stays on. Oh, look at that. I thought I was done here. That was actually 3 blades. These blades are thin, and it's a mistake that lots of people have made. Whoops, where's the camera? They are really thin blades. It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to put the oil back on. There's plenty here. But stop trying to wipe the oil off. And I'm just gonna set it down there for a second. Now, obviously, wrapping things with a bit of cloth is really, really helpful, but now I've gotten most of the oil off, and it's fine. So that goes like that. That goes. It doesn't really matter which way you put it. That goes like that, so that the screw comes right back to the center again. Your little washer goes back on. Your little washer goes back on that way, with the it's going to be bumped with the edges pointing down. It's going to go that way, and then you're just going to screw it back on. Just give it a few quick screws. Give it a few quick turns just to get it started. Pick it up the same way you did before. Just hold it. Get your finger on that end. What's going on? What are you catching on? Did I do this wrong? I did it wrong. I did it wrong. This needs to go up. So the curve needs to go facing up. This little curved washer. Some of them have a straight washer, but some of them have a curved washer. This washer actually needs to go up. There we go. It also has a divot on one side and a flat on the other. So make sure the divot is going down. I believe the divot goes down. Let's double check. Let's see if the divot goes down. Divot goes down because everything's going into place. Now the thing on this is to make sure, get it finger tight, but so that this is still moving. You do not want to, if you crank it on too tight, then when you're cutting, the blade has to turn. The blade has to roll. So if you do not see, watch the thing here, and if it's not rolling, then it's too tight. If it's dragging. Anyway, that's changing the blades. I'll probably stop and walk through the process. I'll probably stop and walk through the process every time I have to change a blade, because not everybody watches every video, and people like to see how that's done. So basically, I'm going to take these. I've got one bigger one. He's going to go there. This guy's a little bigger as well. So I'm going to do this. But I want to be funky. I want to be funky and cool because I'm just awesome that way. So I want to do that. And I'm also wanting, just go that. And I'm going to do this part later because this requires math. Wait, is that? No, I want that. I'm not sure how I'm going to ultimately do this. I'm not sure how I'm going to, because this is the part that's going to require the math. Because I think, no, I don't think I have enough pieces for it. I've got to do, there are charts that you can go get that will tell you exactly, oh, there we go. There's a little pinwheel connecting to that corner. That can go like that. That can go like that. Yeah, see, that's going to look funny. I'm not going to do that. I was going to put a pinwheel on each corner and then connect them all, but they're going to be weird. Let's not be weird. Let's just make a classic pinwheel. This is going to be a classic pinwheel, and you can see exactly what it's going to look like. It's going to look like a pinwheel. Okay, so first thing I have to do is really simple. It doesn't matter. A triangle's a triangle. So first thing I have to do is I have to get in here and figure out what's the largest triangle I can make. And I can go, okay, I'm going to turn this so that I can put this line right there. And when I get to there, it's 4.5 by 4.5. Do the other ones go 4.5 by 4.5? Which one is the smallest one? I need to find the smallest one. I never took off the dog ears. I know that. Yeah, this one's 4.5 by 4.5. So if we do 4.5 by 4.5, by the time we sew this to this, that's going to be 4.25. And then that's going to be, so the 4.5 is going to come down to 4.25 by 4.25, unless I want to hook them onto something else. So we're going to get 4.25 per 8.5 inch. It's going to be an 8.5 inch square when it's done. This is just me talking. It's just a little tiny bit bigger. That's almost exactly the same size. Okay. Okay. That's a slightly bigger one. Okay, if I don't get 4.5 by 4.5, I'm going to come back and I'll come back and, anyway, the reason why I did all this giant step to the side, this one's a little bit too big. Not for what I'm doing. I'm just doing, you want a lot more control if you're going to use one of these mats. These mats are awesome. This is, oh, and that other one, by the way, that big one, the reason why I didn't stop to clean anything out of that one is because once you open it up, it's just pretty much already clean. 4.5 by 4.5. So that's already that's ever so tiny, slightly under 4.5. When you start getting into, I like to trim everything. This will be 4.5 by 4.5. I like to do my stuff first and then trim everything to shape. But when you're working with stuff that's already got a very specific shape that you need to match into it, then you need to actually do the grown-up sewing. At least that's what I call it, because, you know, I like the quick and easy stuff. Then you have to do the actual grown-up sewing and trim everything to shape before you sew it. So this is now getting into and a little bit more. This is more precise. Well, I mean, I end up with a precision result because I have a specific technique that gets me there, but this is the specific technique when you're working with stuff that's already in the shape. So what I'm actually supposed to be doing, and the reason why I'm using this mat, because what you're supposed to do with this mat, it's my habit. It's always been the habit to turn the fabric. So the idea that you put it near the center, and then you just turn this. And then nothing's been shifted. This is a great little gadget a great little mat for precision cutting. The reason why you want a really sharp, did I just toss that one up there? I did. I'm not that smart. Which one was it? And there's a 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. These are this corner is 12 by 12. Looking where your ruler marks are. Yeah, that's it there. Okay. I'm also used to doing things in bulk. So normally I would have a big stack of stuff over here, and I would process it, throw it all back in the pile, and then I would do 3 or 4 of these, something like this. I would normally do 3 or 4 at a time, but I am still getting the hang of working with more precision type stuff. So turn it all the way around. I never cut off the dog ears because I knew I was going to be storing everything, and I knew I was going to be coming back to it fairly soon. So normally if I was when I'm processing scrap like this, these are, now they're not too small, but if I wanted to be able to, if I was like, I'm going to process my scrap so that I can cut these into 4 inch by 4 inch, 4.5 by 4.5 inch squares later, I would be making these 5 inches so that they can fray a little bit at the edges, and I don't have to care, because I'm a big supporter of the idea of see, I turned my fabric again. And, oh no, I turned the whole thing. Did I turn the whole thing that time? I'm busy talking. We already know what happens when I get talking instead of working. Talking while working. Okay. Anyway. What is going on? Oh, that's just a piece. Okay, this piece is actually a little on the dark side, so it's hard for me to see through the ruler to what I'm after. There we go. Nope, that goes there. That goes there. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, a lot of times when I'm doing, that's why when you see me put something interesting in the shop, like if I'm doing a tarot mat or something like that, I'm usually putting in 3 or 4 at a time, because I'll sit down and I'll work on everything all at the same time and get it all done together. But this isn't hard. It's just a learning curve. It's just, okay, well, I'm used to doing everything and then trimming it to shape. Actually, I'm getting better at that. I've got a few things that I do that I need to cut the fabric first. So I've got 4 of these. 4 of these. Close up that. Don't forget, if you have the Olfa 28 millimeter, it does not automatically, this is like a safety cover. It does not automatically pop back into place. So just keep that in mind and make sure that you're remembering to pop it back in. Okay. Okay. I went the lazy route and left my walking foot on. Whoops. Now, let's see what I got going on here. Put that there, put that there. Let's make a little bit of space. Okay, so we'll ignore all these cords here. I don't have cords here. There's no, what cords? My table is beautiful and not the least bit cluttered or messy. That's just the cords for my camera. Okay, so I want this to go like that. I want that to go like that. And I want that to go like that. That's my pinwheel, right? So the reason why, okay, you don't have to do this. If you're well organized, you can fold these up, stack them, and do whatever. But if I'm not paying attention, I could fold these over and then end up sewing this side. I will still get a triangle, but will it work? Why, no, it won't. Look at that. It would not work. So Just put everything back the way it belongs. This is something I'm still making. What did I just do? Why am I having that moment? What is going on? And this is why I double and triple check everything. I double and triple check because I'm not used to this. It is super easy. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not used to it. So having to double and triple check where things are makes a lot of sense. So for this, now I can just pick it up, put it on the machine, and go top to bottom, but I like to make sure that these corners can't shift. So I'm going to line up that corner as nicely as I can get it, and I'm going to just flip it that way. But I already know that I'm on the proper side. I already know I'm on the side that I need to be, and I'm not going to pin it. It's a small piece. Okay, I've got my, let's see what I've got going. I've got several things going for me. I've got a walking foot, so it's not likely to bunch up. I've got a knee lift, so I've got 2 hands available, and this is a relatively small piece. My hand covers the entire piece, so once I'm confident that I've got this lined up, I can just go. Let me just pop that up. Where's my stuff? Where's my foot? There's my foot. My foot pedal. So for me personally, I'm not going to pin. Not because I shouldn't and not because I can't, but because I've got a couple, you know, the size being small as it is, it gives you extra control. The foot lift means I can get everything in place first. Blah 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 blah. If you're not confident, or if you're not set up this way, or if you're making a bigger pinwheel where each one of these squares is 10 inches by 10 inches, yes, pin them. And once you get the pins in, you know exactly which side you're sewing too. So if you're going to pin these and you throw a couple of pins in, if you say you're going to do 20 of these, well, then just set the 4 up, pin them. Now you know which side, put a single pin to hold that together. Now you know exactly which side you're sewing. I'll show you more specifically in a second. We'll do a little walkthrough, kind of like math class where it's like, why the hell am I doing this? I won't need this as a practical skill for later. Okay, I'm going to go like that. We're going to go like that. So the first one's done. So you're not confident. You're not sure what to do. You're not sure what's going on. So you've got 4 of you're doing 4 pinwheels. So you set your first pinwheel up. You fold these over. Because look, I could sew either side, right? So you put your pinwheel in. I'm not even lining it up. I'm just throwing a quick little clip in there. Okay. Now I can set these 2 aside, do the next set, and then just come back and sew everything all at once. Because there's plenty of ways that you can do this. If I had clipped this one or pinned it or had it ready, I could have just went off of this one and straight onto this one. Anyway. We're going to take a little bit of a look at the anatomy of how this looks in just a second too. This is something I really harped on the live stream that I was doing, and now I'm going to harp on it here. So I'm making sure. Now, generally speaking, you want these to go in opposite directions, the seams at the back, and I didn't do that. I screwed that up, and I'm not interested in fixing it. I'm just doing a little thing for, this is just a little thing for funsies. Now I might do these for the shop, but I want to see what I think of them because there's a thing called perfect points, and I'm still learning perfect points, and if I have a perfectly crappy point, I'm not going to want to sell it. So I'm just putting in a 1/4 inch seam, take my time, go straight down, take advantage of all my little advantages here, and then we open that up and we go like that, and now we're good to go. But I do want to, let's agonize for a minute. Let's go over some stuff and agonize, okay? It's time for the agony moment. This is time for that. This is time for the boring informational piece that most of us snooze through, but that's okay. I owe it to you to try, so I'm trying. Okay. Now, this is kind of dark. This is going to be connected to that. And you can see that it's going to be my pinwheel. Now, what I've got going on here, let's get in a little closer. Let's get in really close for a second. Well, what a crappy time for this to decide that it needs to stop for a minute. My camera only goes for 30 minutes before it stops so that I don't wreck it or whatever shit it wants to tell me. Okay, so we're going to get into here. We're going to get into here. I need to sew this to this. Well, for starters, it's a bit of a mess. I do need to iron it, okay? But for seconders, take a look where my seam is. I mean, where my points are. Take a look where the point is. The point is in here by 1/4 of an inch. I got it too close to the camera. It's in here by 1/4 of an inch. When I sew, I have to make sure I'm coming down here. Two things are happening here. I'm going to put the camera back because it is not being very friendly to this extreme close-up. Okay, so two things are happening here. For starters, when you're working with when you're trying to be as precise as possible, you need to iron basically every step. Learn to love ironing. So that part's fine. Now, what else you have here is, though, that when you sew these, you're going to end up with a gap between your point and your edge. And it's really tempting to think that you've screwed up. I'm not kidding. The first few times until I saw a video that really explained it, I thought, oh, I've screwed this up. Because the point, well, you need your point to be at the edge. It's like, no, you don't. If your point is not at the edge, and then you sew back to there, that's going to be cut off, okay? The current point has to be back from the edge by the 1/4 inch, that seam that you're going to be making. Now, if you are not confident and you're doing 1/2 inch seams, then you're going to have 1/2 inch. It's going to be 1/2 inch back. So it will affect the size of your finished block, but you can get away with it. Just make sure that you're using the same seam width the whole time. So I'm not going to drag. Now, something else that we don't want a lot of bulk. We've got these two pieces are meeting with their seam. These two pieces are meeting with their seam, and they're all stacked up here in this corner, right? And now you have to line them up with this and do the same thing over on this side. So what they say about bulk is, what they mean is, if one goes one way and one goes the other way. So this one's going, do that. That one's going, this one, the seam is going that way. See, it's going this way. Whoops, see, it's going this way towards me. This one, the seam is also going this way towards me, but when you turn it around, each one's facing a different direction. So one's going that way and one's going that way. So that way, when you put these together, because you're going to do what's called nesting, one always bumps up a little higher than the other. So you're going to nest them together. And that will make sure, you're going to nest them together as carefully as you can, and that will make sure that if one set of bulk is going this way, because this is the extra bulk, if the bulk is going in opposite directions, it will be a lot smoother in your corner than it could have been. But anyway, I'm going to keep talking and babbling and talking. Oh, I'm going to go turn my iron on. That's what I'm going to do. Now I spotted this. I spotted this just as I was getting ready to go. This one here is not quite exact. This one here, I thought this one was off by the tiniest of bits, and it is, and it's not going to scare me, because this is the area that I'm currently concerned about. This is the area that currently matters, the center area here. So, there's my pins. There's my pins. It's over here. I slammed them down as if I'm showing you something special, and I didn't even put them on the camera. But that's okay. It's time for me to have a pop break. Okay. Now, I don't know if this is cheating. I don't know if this is adding to my time, whatever, but you go like that. This one points up. This one points down. And you get that forms a bit of a ledge going in one direction. This forms a bit of a ledge going the other direction. You nestle them together, and you do that, and then you sew them. And I don't do that, because I would like perfect points. So I am going to line this. I'm just going to line this up enough. I'm going to line this up enough to make it easy for myself. I am going to come through the back, and where that thread meets that one, I'm shoving a pin through there. And then I'm going to double check from the front. Nope, this one. Okay, so I'm shoving a pin right there through the front, through where those points all intersect, where this line here intersects with that line there. And then I'd be doing it a lot more neatly, but I have this overwhelming need to show the camera. Then I'm going to come on this side and I'm going to put the pin through where that meets on that, right through the point. So I'm pinning my points together. Now, I'm also going to do something a little bit different. Yeah, this is going to come out a little bit smaller than I expected. I knew this one was off by a tiny bit. So now I'm just futzing around, now, obviously for your own use, for your own purposes, my foot is still down because I don't need to do that. But for your own purposes, your foot's going to be up. You're going to slide everything in, and I'm going to cheat. I don't know if it's cheating or not. Anybody, if there's anybody that watches this that's an actual quilter, I'm starting in the middle. Because if you're sewing, especially if you're not, now I can get away with it because I'm using a walking foot, but if you're not using a walking foot, every now and again there's a bit of drag and it pushes your fabric, and then suddenly one of these might have shifted. One of the top of the bottom may have shifted so that it doesn't want to meet up properly. So I'm going to start right in the middle. I'm gonna eyeball where that fabric, I'm gonna eyeball where that pin came out, because that's right exactly where I want to aim the needle. And then I'm gonna take a big risk because I didn't bring my pin cushion back, and I think I have a healthy paranoia about leaving pins laying around, because Bruno especially, I've got two little dogs. Shayla doesn't give a crap about anything, but if something hits the floor, Bruno's always convinced that it just might be food. I don't want to leave pins laying around, end up dropping one, and have him think that they're food. I don't know that he would eat one, but it wouldn't stop him from getting hurt if he decided to take a taste. Okay, I just had a loose thread and it just didn't like me, so now I'm just going to go like that. I got a few excess threads here. Okay. Down to the end we go. So a 1/4 inch seam is the goal, but a 1/4 inch seam is the goal. But when you're measuring, okay, a 1/4 inch seam, fine. That's at the 1/4 inch seam. See, now I've started from there, went right over that, down to the bottom, and now I'm just going to turn it around. Obviously, I can also, if I have a small, okay, I have a big machine, so I can just go sew, turn it around, and have it be on this side of the machine. If a big machine is your issue, don't forget you've already sewn down that corner, so now you can flip it over. I'm still pretty convinced that it's not going to be I'm still pretty sure it's not going to be a perfect point. I'm still learning them. But the ones that I've done so far, when I do this technique, they're a heck of a lot better than what else I've done. I don't need to back stitch because there's already a length of stitching there. I'm just going right over what's already there. And now it's sort of the end. Now, I'm going to, come on, there you go. I'm going to sneak off over here. I'm not even going to let you guys see it yet. Well, 2 of my points are where I wanted them. Not going to lie, this is fine. This is a small enough block. This is fine. If you were doing this, I wouldn't sell this because it's just way too far off. So what happened here? Something must have shifted because I can see. Anyway, this is still a better point than I get without doing that trick, so I'm still not going to have any regrets. But okay, this is the one I did the other day. That's your goal. That's a lot more, that's a lot closer. That's a lot closer to perfect. This is not as, but come back here and add 20 more around them because you're making a quilt. Nobody's ever going to see it, notice it, and if they do, they're not going to judge it. Still pretty. It's still exactly, it's still really, really nice. And then you just come back. I'm going to put that along the 7-inch line. I'm going to put that along the 7-inch line. This is something else you can do with with these. Wonder how I managed to do that. This one clearly the pin was it must have, well, you know what, with me talking and trying to pay attention at the same time, it's like some people walking and chewing bubble gum, so it's not a huge surprise that something shifted and that I didn't notice. So this is an 8-inch by 8-inch block. I can do one of two things with it. I can use it for something right away. Or I can save it. If I'm using it for something right away, then I'm going to come back. By the way, these little things are ingenious. There's just two pieces. There's that. It's got a little divot on it, and this side here has got a little hole in it, and you just line them up. So they're really simple. They're really basic. They work really well. You're not going to put a great big pile of fabric on it and start cutting it. You're going to have you're going to have a really sharp rotary cutter, and one, maybe 2 layers at the absolute most. This is a pretty has specific uses, but yeah. So I can turn this into an 8x8. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to finish this. I'm going to finish this one. Oh, wait. I got to bring this. I do have to bring this to 7. I have to bring this to 7x7 because remember that one was not quite lined up properly. So we're going to. So basically what I'm doing right now is I am running that corner to that corner, keeping it along this line. That's the 6-inch line. That's the 6-inch line. And I want this to be 7x7. So I'm going to, actually, you know what I'm going to do? Let me get off my butt. I am far more used to using my other stuff. I've got plenty of time. I'm really loving this mat. I am really loving this mat. Don't get me wrong. I'm really loving this mat, but I'm going to stick with what I'm used to. Where's my marks? There they are. Okay. So I'm going to start there, and I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's got to go 3.5. You know what? I don't even like that one. I don't like that one. I don't like that one either. God, I wish I had better rulers. Okay. I'm going to edit the crap out of that section. So I'm just going 6x6 right through the center. Right by the center, 6x6. And then trying to get that to that because that will get my lines. Wow, those lines just do not want to be where I want them to be. Let's see where we're going here. There we go. That's about as good as I'm going to get. So, oh, that's why, because this is actually a 13-inch. This is because it's got 1 extra inch here. I was trying to line it up at the wrong spot. Okay. So I'm going to go down the 10-inch line. You stay there. Ten-inch line. Ten-inch line. Yeah, that's one of the disadvantages of having so much shit to play with is that one of the advantages of having so much shit to play with is that every now and again you can get really picky about certain things and you're like, what am I going to do next? 3-inch line. Because look, 1, 2, 3 is the 10-inch line, 1, 2, 3 is the 3-inch line. So I'm just going to center everything. This is a great little mat, and I absolutely adore it. Like I said, I'm still getting used to it. So sometimes it's like you get a brain cramp going, which one am I supposed to use? What should I do? Okay, that. Okay, so now I have bring it back to here. Let me double check. I should be right, but let's double check. So now I have a 7-inch by 7-inch block. Okay. 7-inch by 7-inch block is just fine. Let's get that out of the way for now. Now let's dig into the scrap. So now what's going to happen if we go all the way around it? Oh, I know it's going to go better. Let's see what we can do. I put some stuff behind me. So it would stay nice and, flat. I already ironed it and I didn't want to have to go back. So I've got that and I got that. I can go all the way around with one, or I can go all the way around with two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that over to, I have a spot over here set up so that I can set things down and it's not going to get all wrinkled. Once I get the wrinkle out, that is. Okay, okay. Now, let me just, need 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I am back. We are going to do this really easy. I'm going to cut this into 2.5-inch strips. And the unfortunate, that's not unfortunate, but the thing that I'm working with right now is that these fabrics were both wide backs, which means they started off being over 60 inches wide. It's not the end of the world, but it's a lot to work with. So I'm just going to bring it up here. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to carefully line it all up there. Make sure those are straight. I'm going to take off. I'm going to create a straight line, go straight down. And now I'm going to go, if I go 2 inches, it's going to be a fairly narrow band. It's going to be 9.5 plus, it'll be 9.5 plus if I do 2.5 inches here, it'll be 9.5, 10.5, and 11.5. Let's go. I'm going to go 2.25 inches. That extra 1/4 inch never seems to matter, but when you're working with a piece that's this narrow, it's actually quite a bit. So that one's off. So now, let's just. This is the stuff I like. This is where I have fun. Because now I'm just going to get that. I've definitely got enough to go all the way around. I'm just going to go ever so slightly past the corner, because I'm not measuring. So since I'm not measuring, I need to make sure that I'm not going to, because I'm just going, I need to go a little tiny bit over, because because what I could be doing is cutting exactly 8-inch pieces and then go that way, but I'm just throwing them on. Make sure I slow down enough to get to the end. Back up the tiniest bit. It's not the end of the world if I don't back up too much. I don't have to go crazy. Okay, get back over here. I'm not going to vertigo you guys to death, so I'm just going to come over here. Okay, and I'm going to trim it and give it a little bit of space. Now, in theory, I should be over there ironing after every step, and I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to be doing that about 8 times. Now, something else that I've got going on right now is that I've got my space arranged. I've got my space arranged right now. Let me take a quick look. I'm literally just messing around today. But I've got this whole table here. I can put an iron and ironing board on that table and save myself. I'm debating on whether or not I want to do it. So again, this one goes ever so slightly above. Come on, get above there. Ever so slightly above, just to make sure, because I'm not measuring, so that's your safety margin. Go ever so slightly above, and that accommodates your safety margin so that you can get away with this. Use your fingertips. Go a little further if you have to. Go like 6 or 7 stitches past the end. Give yourself a safety margin on both. Okay, get it over here. Give it a snip. Back to the iron. Give it a quick zap. Back to over here. Now, don't get me wrong. If I'm sewing, this is another reason why if I'm sewing stuff for the shop, I'll do 3 or 4 of something at a time, because then I can go zing, 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 walk over and iron them. Zing, 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 walk over and iron them. Or on a better day, basically it's a really hot day in here today, and I've got a mini iron that I can use, but it's really hot in here today, so I just didn't want it beside me on the table here, because I have a small ironing mat and a small iron. You guys have seen the baby iron. You guys have seen my little mini baby iron, but it's really hot in here, so it's summertime. It's summertime. Even having the iron behind me there over by the table is getting hot. So, la la la. Usually, I mean, okay, let's do one without doing that. Let's just finger press, okay? Because I'm not selling this one, so it can be a little less than perfect. So let's just get lazy and start finger pressing. So if you're going to finger press instead of taking the break to go iron, then just make sure that you are being very careful to, you don't have to give it a tug, you don't have to pull, but just make sure that you're being very careful to make sure that that finger press has it, that you finger press it down solidly enough so that it's not going to form a big ugly crease for you. There we go. There, see, you just did the last one without, I did the last one without doing a break to go iron. Okay, so I'm gonna go iron these last two down because I do have to do that now. Then we have a little bit more to do here. Okay. No matter what system of ironing you choose for your ironing or lack thereof, stop and iron them right quick once this section's in, because you're going to want to double check. So that should be 1 3/4 inches. No, that should actually be 2 inches all the way around. So I am using a slightly bigger than, what's going on in here? Something got behind the blade. I am using a slightly bigger than 1/4 inch seam. Probably I never did double check just how big of a seam my walking foot gives me, so that's probably got to do with that. So basically, I'm just lining up my ruler along this inside thing, because once you line that up, I'm going 1 3/4 inches, and I'm just squaring this up. Like I said, I did not do an exact 2 inch. Normally I do have my other foot on. I was doing some quilting for my speed run, which that video was up. It went up on the 11th. Went up last Monday. I'm doing the draw next Monday. So 1 3/4. You just want to make sure that these are where you want them to be. So lining up my 1 3/4 along this line here, that I already know what that's supposed to be. I just want my dimensions to be proper. I don't know if this is, I don't know if I should have used a different one or not. I'm just doing it to see. I'm just doing this as a learning experience. Maybe I'll give it away. Maybe I'll do a giveaway. Leave in the comments if you think I should do a giveaway on this one. Maybe when I do the oh, you know what? Maybe when I do the draw for the oh, there it is. A little bit of stuff got stuck in there. If anything ever gets stuck in your blade, in your rotary blade, just pop it out. Get the crap out, put it back. These are little blades that can happen. It's not that big of a deal. There we go. I just had a loose thread. Okay, that goes back over here and sits. It sits. Okay, this is a little bit bigger, so I'm obviously going to need a little bit bigger of a piece, so I don't mind the fact that this is 400 feet long. But I don't think I want to deal with something that's 400 feet long, so... Okay, we'll do the first one. I don't think I want this extra wide though, so I know that I'm gonna cut these ones as I go, because it's a big awkward piece of fabric to use. Well, actually, I'm gonna do that. I'll do one. No, I'm gonna do 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Okay. I've got a ton of this over on the side, so it's not going to hurt my feelings if I end up there. That'll be better. I'm just doing a hack and slash because I am working with 100% scrap. Don't forget, the rules change when you're working with scrap, and you get to get away with so much more. Okay, that ended up being 1.75. I do still want this one. I'm just taking off the excess. I'm straightening up one edge. Now this is going to have a batting and a backing on it. This is the batting that I got for this one. It's going to have a backing and a batting on it, so I want this one to be 2.5 inches. I can trim it down. It's all going to be 2.5. Just let me double check. This is all scrap, so if I waste any of it, I don't need to care. I am going to go Yeah, I'll stick at 2.5 inches. So I make a straight edge, then I go up and make 2.5 inches. It's actually wide enough to make something else with, so that goes there. This one I can be. I was just being extra because I just didn't want to try and, if you can fold these up carefully and cleanly, then you can fold it, cut it, and still get a really, really straight edge. But if it's too much of a mess, then you're not going to get that straight edge. Because that has to fold nice and straight. Okay. There we go. And I knew it. Brand new blade too. Well, let's call it user error. Quite usually I end up standing to get the proper cutting angle on when I'm cutting fabric. So the fact that I chose to be lazy and sit today is entirely my own fault. Okay. And then I'm going to make this, what did I say that was? 2.5, right? Yeah, 2.5. 2.5, by the way, is exactly the width of a, 2.5 inches is exactly the width of a jelly roll. A jelly roll piece. So if you are looking at copying this and don't want to have to screw around with cutting this stuff up, just use jelly roll pieces. They're already 2.5 inches. You just grab them. You just do whatever you're going to do for the center and then just grab them and go. If I'm cutting the fabric because I'm doing them properly instead of messing around with scrap like this, if I am cutting the fabric properly, then I will usually cut 2.5 inches and work with that. There we go. That one's there. 2.5 inches. Yeah, this is, well, has been sitting in a scrap bin for a while because it's letting off a lot of, it's doing a lot of fraying at the edges, but it's not the end of my world. Okay, where are we at? Those I'm not going to keep. Those I am going to keep. That goes over there, that goes over there. And this comes over here, and the camera goes whoop. Let's whoop the camera. Okay. I said I was going to come on for like maybe 20 minutes. Honestly, I thought it was going to be maybe a 20-minute video. Okay. So this is all one big straight piece. I like to not start on that one. Start ever so slightly off the end because you're not measuring. At least, okay, that's my preference. That's my status quo. That's how I usually do it. You can do whatever. Start it wherever it's comfortable for you. Just make sure that you can stop, double check, and line it up. See, I can see both here. So I can stop. I'm kind of backed up a little bit. So I stop, I line it up, I make sure everything's still visible, still that I can tell where it is. You can do it exactly like this and it'll go just fine. I'm doing it faster. I'm doing it faster because I'm more used to this, but it doesn't mean that there's a problem. Take that off properly. There we go. I'm just over here finger pressing. Okay, and getting that ready and doing that. Finger pressing, trim that end off. Okay, flip it over, go off the end a little bit. I'll just say the same things over and over again. It'll be fine. I'm not going to go off the end that much. Not necessarily. I think I'm pretty sure I've got more than enough, but take your time. Pin it if you need to. Don't forget that pinning it. You're allowed to pin. Just because I'm not doesn't mean you can't. I am so used to this that when I'm just putting two fabrics together like this, I don't pin anymore, but I used to pin this all the time. Like I would never do it any other way. Off the end, bring it back now. Okay. Now, what I did that you did not see was I just went like that. Bring it up here. One thing I wish I had One thing I wish I had was one of those schmancy tables that lets you get your machine at the same level as the table so I can move things around better. It does get, okay, it's not bad. You get used to it, right? But it gets a little awkward. Don't forget, this end's done now. So this end is where you really want to concentrate and make sure you got the really good finger pressing before you do the next section. You're not lining anything up with this edge here. You're bringing it to here. You're gonna put this fabric is gonna go up there, but I'm lining up to that section that I trimmed off. I'm ignoring the top because the fabric wants to go straight. It'll be fine. And now I'm coming back. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. That one's good. Let's trim that. Yep, back up to the side. Back up to the side, just over there, barely in the frame. It'll be fine. You guys can still see stuff. There we go. We're still trying to figure out, I think what I actually need is a better, not a better, but a different lens. I think there's a lens for the camera, there's an ultra wide angle lens or some weird thing that I can get. I don't know, I do want one, I just don't know if that's something I want right away or if that's something I want to wait on. But there's a lens that I can get that'll actually let you see more of what I'm doing. Without having to be so far away that you can't see nothing. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know if I'm getting one or not. I haven't decided. I mean, I love doing these videos, and I'm having fun with them. So I'll probably see what I can do, but I think I saw one, and it was like $1,200. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Okay. Let me just run off and let me run off and iron this and trim it up, and I'll be back for the big reveal. And ta-da! So there it is. It's done. I only meant to do this part. This is all I planned on doing today, and now I've got a full top. So now all I have to do is put it on here. I'm not going to keep going. I really do have to stop. I really do have to stop, guys. Okay, so once this is on here, I am going to, I think I'm going to back it with this as well. I've got extra of this from that project, from the other thing that I did. I've got extra of this, and then when it goes on, okay, it's pretty easy for me to go, hey, that'll look good if I do blah, but anyway, I'm going to back this and top stitch it. Get a backing onto it, and I'm going to finish it off into a proper tarot mat. And I guess I'm giving this guy away. I'm not going to put it in the shop because this is just a practice piece. Just a practice piece made of 100%. Even the batting is left over from other projects. That's all left over. It's a practice piece. It's a practice piece with some errors on it, and that's all fine and dandy. But it's going to be going free to a good home. Next time I get a chance, I'll finish this up later, try and have a photo for you guys. Something, something, something. Anyway, if you like what you see, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the things. Don't forget that there's a draw already happening on one of my other videos. Go watch it. Go watch it. Go ooh and ah. It's a speed run. It's a sped up speed run, so it's only about 30-minute video. So that's fine. Showing you how I made an entire quilt as a speed run. You'll see. It was fun. It was fun to do. I think you'll have fun watching it. Anyway, that is what happens when you start messing around with learning a new skill. And I will be back with another video soon. You guys have a great day. Bye.